Moto Guzzi Dorado. So really nice looking bike. It's got a lot of really nice styling cues. I love the grab bar back here. It's very solid. It's a real solid piece of kit on the back, because this is a heavy bike to wield around. So that grab bar is very, very nice. It's got the chrome pads on the tank and that legendary iconic V-twin transversely mounted engine. Air cooled, air oil cooled. Got a big oil cooler down there. White wall tires, of course. I think it's 130 front, 180 rear tire. We'll give her a little start up. She starts up, typical modern bike. The whir, the fuel pump, and instant starting. (2015) Moto Guzzi V-twin, of course, because that's what they do, is a lot of V-twins. V-twin 1380cc cruiser from Italy. So nice styling. This is a bit of motorcycle art for sure. So 96 horsepower, brand new out of the box, best case scenario. So after you use it for a while, she's probably pushing like 85 or something. After it gets a bit of wear in it, you know, the ejectors get a little clogged and this sort of thing, as used bikes do. So, you know, that's best case scenario. So you're actually dealing with about 80 horse, but it's a big torquey engine. So most of your power is down low. Torquey cruiser plodding away, probably 80 miles an hour down the highway. Nice bike to ride. It's really well balanced. The suspension's nice on it. It's what you'd expect from a modern Italian motorcycle. You can get it in the twisties. You can push it a little bit, and it won't wallow as you would think it would, for sure. Like, it's not obviously a Ducati V4, but it's certainly no slouch either in the acceleration and handling department. So, you know, they've ironed out a lot of the things that used to plague cruisers back in the day, which was poor handling, choppy throttle response. There was a bike in the 70s called El Dorado. A friend of mine used to have one. It was a really nice bike, and it had the same sort of idea, air-cooled, transversely mounted V-twin, so the cylinders poke out the side. So the difference with this, the plastic. So everything's really laden with plastic, electronics, that sort of thing. Nice looking bike. This one's got the white wall tires on it, spoked rims, tubeless, or it's a tube type rim on these things. Big fat 130 on the front. I believe it's 180 on the rear. It's got the Brembo brakes. It's got dual discs up front and a single in the rear. It's got a dry clutch. So you got to be a little careful with dry clutches, that you don't, like, if you get a little stuck, you can't be spinning the wheel and heating up the clutch, because you'll smoke the clutch, which is pretty par for the course on any vehicle with a dry clutch, whether it's car or motorbike, BMW, whatever. So it doesn't have a wet clutch in. So that's a little different. It has a gearbox in it, 6-speed gearbox, 1380cc air-cooled engine with tappet valves, believe it or not. So you pull off these valve covers, and there's tappet valves under there. So there's no shim and bucket, which is kind of nice for the home mechanic, makes it a little easier on your life. However, it's then convoluted by all kinds of electronics. For instance, it's got traction control, it's got ABS, it's got security codes, chips, it's got electronic fuel injection, of course. It's bristling with electronics. It's got fly-by-wire technology, I believe. I see cables on it, but my understanding, reading through the literature, is that this thing has a fly-by-wire system. So those cables probably go down to a throttle, and there's a TPS, throttle position sensor on there, which senses where your wrist is at, and then the computer decides accordingly through a servo what the bike ought to be doing based on your input. And all the inputs, peripheral inputs of the various data points throughout the motorcycle, like the throttle position sensor, and the map sensors and speed sensors and what gear it's in. In the grand scheme of things, when it comes to motorcycles, they really love to tap into people's emotions, the manufacturers, when they style bikes like this. It's a real piece of eye candy. The Italians have a flair, of course, they're well known for their fashion and flair. Their motorcycles are no exception. Cagiva, Ducati, some of the brand names, even Vespa, the small scooters. The styling cues are really spot on with those motorcycles. They also sold the California, which has the same engine. It's loosely based on it, but different styling. It's a nice design styling exercise. The Italians are great for that. They make some sexy looking machines for sure. When you pull up on this, you know, you're bound to have the only one because he didn't sell in great numbers. The Italians have always kind of dragged behind the Japanese, but then everybody else does too, even the Germans. So is it a good motorcycle? And the answer is yeah, it's actually a pretty good motorcycle. They've been making these for about 100 years. They have a long history, Moto Guzzi making motorcycles dating back to around the 1920s. So you got about a 100-year stretch, give or take a few years there, but about a century worth of making motorcycles. So lots of good experience behind them, modern technology, the modern machining. And so you get nice tight tolerances, and it's not made in China. Like Benelli is now owned by the Chinese firm. I forget who it is, but you know, and they've definitely went downhill without a doubt. Nice aftermarket pipe saw. It's a little loud. I'll start her up. It's got the fancy display, Moto Guzzi. You want to make sure that's strapped down to the bench properly when you rev it, because it has a lot of side-to-side torque because of the engine, like a BMW Boxer engine. And Goldwings do that too, by the way. Goldwings have a flat 4 Boxer engine in them. And when you throttle it, you get that side-by-side motion. Nice pipes on it. Probably a little spendy. I think they're around $3,000 just for the pipes. So, not running a charity operation there, but love the lines, the smooth curvatures and blending of everything. I love how the cylinders go up into the tank. That's really nice. That's cool. Nice styling, isn't it? And it's got that retro kind of steampunk look going on about it. Kind of cool. Got the little Moto Guzzi album on the plastic fender with the fake pinstriping. That's nice. So there's some things you should know. Massive oil cooler on it. Holy cow, look at that thing. Came in because it has issues. Basically, when you hammer on this thing, the service light comes on because it's not jiving well with the ECM. So, and I tried to plug it in and it doesn't want to respond to the laptop anymore. And so this is a problem with getting into this kind of thing with obscure models, and something as complicated as the ECM, the electronic control module that controls the engine, digital engine management, is that there's so many variables and it's so complicated that it takes a big company and a lot of man hours on a dyno especially, and track time too. And this obviously isn't a track bike, but that data logger from the track, I mean, that you incorporate that into working out a proper map so you get, you know, the thing dialed in properly. Problems all these bikes are plagued with is they suffer from the restrictive EPA emissions, make the bike run super lean in the endless quest for increased mile per gallon and less pollution and this sort of thing. But it's always a compromise, because at the end of the day, what you end up with is you get lean surging, and you get problems with running very, very hot in traffic and that sort of thing, because the fuel not only burns and drives the pistons down, but it also lubricates as well. And so what people try to do is they add digital fuel boxes, different mapping, you know, into the ECM, or they have digital boxes that trick the ECM or fool it into thinking it's running lean when it's not, and then it'll send different signals to fatten the mix. And so what they've done with this is they put an auto tune on it, and then a DynoJet Power Commander 5, I believe, and then remapped the ECM. But there's also a traction control, so it works in conjunction with traction. Anyway, so the point is it gets very confusing, and one of the drawbacks with doing a bike like this is because it's so obscure relatively, you know, say to a Harley Davidson Sportster over in these parts anyway, there's not much R&D support for this sort of thing. Put it back to stock and get this thing running as it should be again. They had some wartime production stuff back in World War II, and they made some goofy, notable stuff. And they used this V-twin engine, the transversely mounted V-twin engine, in a lot of wartime production machines. They had these tracked vehicles, and had a motorcycle front end with tracks on the back. I don't know how successful they were. I never imagined that they would be that useful. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But of course, Italian firm starting in 1920. So they've been around for a long time. And it is actually, in fact, an Italian firm for sure. So, and over the years, it's morphed into this. They had Le Mans was another famous one, an 850 Le Mans Moto Guzzi, and of course the El Dorado, like I mentioned. And nowadays, these offerings like the V7 and the V9, I believe the V7 I really like actually. It's a nice little bike. So this is quite a bit of heft for a motorcycle for sure. This 1400, but really cool bike. And I'm going to take it for a rip, get that service light out, little wrench icon. It's a beautiful looking bike, a real piece of eye candy, motorcycle art, no doubt. Really cool, very nice, very iconic looking motorcycle. Anyways, I just thought I'd kind of showcase it a bit. That's what I know about a 2015 Moto Guzzi El Dorado 1400. Really nice bike, beautiful to ride. As an update, I managed to get all the parts for it. We got a brand new ECU. We're going to replace the airbox lid and the stock exhaust and stock O2 sensors and put it back to stock and see how it goes. So I think that's the best route given, unfortunately, up here in Canada, we have a very limited resources when it comes to, specialized things, which this Moto Guzzi falls into that category, of course. In Europe, there's more resources available, there's more specialists, and probably getting less and less, I suspect, over in Europe. But up here in Canada, the best course of action is put it back stock as a baseline. Same with carburetors. If you've got carburetors that are out of whack and somebody's trying to jet them and the air box is all hacked up, just get the stock air box, put it back stock, and go back to a baseline that you're 100% guaranteed for sure know it's going to run as it came from Moto Guzzi, and then go from there. So all the parts came in a little pricey for sure. It is what it is, and gonna put it back to original and get the thing running just nice. Hope you found some value to that, maybe informative, somewhat interesting perhaps. Moto Guzzi, if you're an owner out there, and leave any questions, comments, or whatnot in the comments below. I always enjoy getting the criticisms as well as the suggestions, that's for sure. So yeah, Moto Guzzi El Dorado 2015. Have a good morning, night out there, and ride safe and take care, and keep the shiny side up. Catch you later. Have a good morning, night, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye for now.